Welcome everyone to today's episode of Getting In a College Coach Conversation. I'm Sally Ganga from College Coach. For the second segment today, I'll be welcoming Getting In first-timer Landis Fryer, College Coach Educational Consultant. Prior to joining us, he worked in both the Dartmouth and Northwestern admission offices, so he's got some great experience to bring to the show. He and I will be discussing what seniors should do now that they have deposited at the college they'll be attending. And then for our final segment, I'll be talking with Lauren DiProspero, formerly of Columbia and Stanford Medical School admission offices, about paths to medical school. If you're pre-med or you know someone who is, be sure to listen. And then for the first segment, I'll be talking with Michelle Richardson. For those of you who are watching the video, the lovely Michelle is here with me, college finance expert here at College Coach about she and I will be talking about work study, employment, and internships while in college. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you, Sally. Happy to be here.
All right, so first off, I think not everybody knows what work study is and what it means, and I certainly didn't before I attended college. So, why don't we go ahead and start with that? What is federal work study?
So, federal work study is actually a partially funded program where college students, both undergrad, graduate, and professional, those who complete the FAFSA and have demonstrated financial need, they can actually get a federal work study job on campus and are awarded that through the financial aid office.
Okay, so it's not just any job that happens to be on campus, because I think that's where a lot of the confusion lies.
Right, right. And I think it's very important for people to understand that there is a need-based component for federal work study, but a non-need-based component for kind of typical student employment, or they might just call it work study.
Okay, so there are jobs available even if you don't have need, if you don't qualify for the need-based one.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And so, kind of related to that, what jobs are available for federal work study, and are they only available on a college campus?
So federal work study jobs are available both on and off campus. A lot of times, federal work study jobs will be working at an office on campus or working in the dining services or a laboratory or the library. So those are some of the federal work study jobs that are on campus. Now, off campus, there can be federal work study jobs off campus as long as the position includes community involvement. So a lot of times it might be an agency or a not-for-profit entity that is affiliated or assimilated with the college or university.
hmm Okay. I mean, I had a work study job. I actually had multiple work study jobs when I was a college student, and the first job was actually running errands for the on-campus infirmary. So that was kind of
Neat.
fun because I got to know all the nurses. So they were all like, "How are you, Sally?" Like it's a kind of nice. I don't think most colleges have on-campus infirmaries anymore, probably. So I don't know how available that one is. But then my jobs after that included working for the admission office, which is how I got this job down the road. So I want to sing the
See?
praises of working in college, and work study is a great way to do it.
I would agree. I had a work study job many years ago when I was on campus, and I'll never forget because I went in thinking, okay, I'm going to probably end up in dining services because a lot, sometimes students do. And you have to apply for work study jobs
Yeah.
on campus, and it's not like they assign you a position. You apply, you interview. And I remember the day I actually landed an office position in the Office of Public Relations. And that was back in the day when we didn't have cell phones, so I just aged myself. But I remember calling home at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and my mom and dad are like, why are you calling? Everything okay? It's expensive right now. It's during the day. And I said, I just had to tell you, I landed an office job for work study. And, it was a great opportunity. And I too think that helped me kind of position me in my workplace. And I determined when I was working that job, I enjoyed working with people and in the public and in an office setting. So it was highly beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, there was a statistic that I read somewhere. I wish I could remember where so I could cite it properly, but that working up to 20 hours a week actually is correlated with higher grades. More than 20 hours a week can, like some students can handle it. I think most of them can't. But up to 20 hours a week is higher grades correlation.
Absolutely. There's quite a few studies on that. I know one article is from EAB, but you're exactly right. And I tell families when we speak with them here at College Coach about the many benefits of having a student work part-time, whether it's if they qualify through a need-based program like federal work study, or maybe just getting a student job on campus.
Mhm. Yeah, a lot of jobs, there's priority given to to federal work study, but not all. So yeah.
Right. And, sometimes I get asked by families, would it be better for my, student to work off campus? And I just read an article that talked about, off campus positions might offer a higher wage
Mhm.
than maybe an on-campus position. Typically, work study, whether it's federal work study or just student employment on campus, um, for undergrads, it's typically an hourly wage. It typically starts at the state minimum wage, but it can go up from there depending on the position. But there's a lot of other benefits from working on campus. One, just like you said, typically on-campus positions allow for more flexibility. They are more understanding during finals week and watching hours for their students. Another thing I often think about is security, and you're not commuting somewhere. And so if you are working at the library later at night or in a cafe or something of that nature on campus, you can call security and have them walk you, back to your residence, where you don't have that opportunity typically with an off-campus job. And I think we all know there's a lot of skills, soft skills that are learned with student employment, time
Mhm.
management, organization. You can probably speak to this better than I can, but it looks great on a college admissions uh, um, application for employment prior to college, but even for grad school or professional school, and having that experience.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my first job when I was looking for like a real job, one of my first jobs was at a bookstore, and I talked about being a tour guide as proof that I could work with, and they thought that was great. I also worked at a youth hostel, like an international youth hostel, and with that I talked about my experience as a resident advisor. Like these are both situations where I was hired very quickly. Because compared to other people my age who were the only ones applying for these, let's face it, very low wage jobs
Right.
initially, I had this really notable experience. And then, of course, working as an intern in the admission office, then I got my career job, which was in the admission office, which led me here. So I really do recommend it. I mean, I think that yeah, I would say that my friends who didn't have jobs were no like more or less stressed out than I was. It was basically the same, and I thought it was good for me to talk to people who weren't in the throes of finals every once in a while. So, um, I do just want to comment too that there are actually some well-paid jobs. When I worked at the University of Chicago, we hired students to work on our website. We obviously had a full-time staff member doing the supervision, but in all honesty, he was very honest with me. He's like, honestly, their skills are far better than mine. I'm just like
Mhm.
telling them what to do and then they do it. because it would take me 3 times as long to do what they do. And it worked great for them because they could just pop in between classes here and there, and they were making really quite a high wage, at least compared to
Well,
other students. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. And I think about the networking opportunities that you can build on campus, whether you're working in a lab or, working research as a grad student. So um, there's a lot of benefits. You might even meet, friends outside of your major that maybe you wouldn't have had an opportunity to meet had you not been working alongside them.
Mhm. All right. Anything else about work study? I know I kind of we had an outline and I sort of jumped around all over it. So
Oh,
what else should be mentioned that I forgot to ask you?
um, um, actually, I think we kind of covered everything on
Okay.
on work study. We talked about the benefits and kind of the hours.
Mhm.
Typical hours per week are anywhere from 11 to 20,
Mhm.
and sometimes students do. They may be able to work more than what their federal work study award actually is if there's funding left towards like the end of the second semester. Um, and one other thing I would just mention about federal work study is you have to apply for federal work study because it's a need-based program that's somewhat federally subsidized. So um, there is a question on the FAFSA that asks about, do you want to be considered for work study?
Mhm.
And so that's kind of the indicator to the financial aid office that, yes, this student is interested in federal work study if they qualify. The other part to that is if a student doesn't qualify and it's not on their financial aid award letter, then I tell them to reach out to student employment, look online and see how to get a non-federal work study position or student employment on campus.
Mhm. Yeah, there were plenty of jobs at both Reed and University of Chicago for I mean, if you got work study, we were like awesome, but if you didn't have it, we would still hire you if you were the right one for the job without a doubt. So all right, what about internships? What are they? And I think that's like a really good question because people act like internships is sort of like this magical thing. And like so what are internships?
Internships are really work experience that is typically offered for a limited period of time, like 1 to 4 months. I think a lot of us are very accustomed to maybe summer internships. And there's a lot of industries that offer internships, like medicine, law, finance, technology, architecture, science, engineering. And just like student employment, there is a lot of, I would say, benefits from having an internship opportunity, and even, more than one.
Mhm. Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I again, uh, work experience, internship experience on campus, off campus, it's definitely going to be helping you. So, what level are students typically when they apply for internships?
Yeah, so great question. Really, all levels. So there are internships for students at community college, and sometimes people will call those apprenticeships for more of those technical programs like electric or maybe HVAC, welding, that kind of thing. But internships are very common for undergrad students as well as graduate and professional. And I think they're a great way, especially for undergrads, to dip their toe in the water if they've not had an opportunity to do a job shadow or get some working experience in that industry that they're studying for, because that could be a make it or break it, type of situation where they may find, what, I might not be happy doing this the rest of my life, or wow, I love this. I'm, so excited to continue. And there's, oftentimes internships, it's really a win-win for the entity and the student, because many businesses will hire their interns
Hmm.
after they graduate, and the student is in graduated now is able to have a job that for an entity that they're already familiar with, and the same with the business. They're not having to do all of that training that maybe a non-intern would. So again, it can be a win-win for the entity and the student.
Hmm. And I think people are used to thinking of internships as unpaid, but at least some of them are paid, correct?
They are. They are. So, there are paid and unpaid internships. And I know in our build program, we have a quote that talks about that there is still a lot of value in unpaid internships,
Hmm.
such as the mentoring and the experience, and transferring that into their next step after graduation. So an unpaid internship may not offer the financial benefit, but you still get all the other benefits of having that opportunity.
Hmm. All right, great. All right, I think that covers it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much, Sally, for having me on.
Okay. All right, now we're going to be taking a short break, but when we return, I'll be talking with Landis Fryer about what to do now that you've picked your college and made your deposit.